Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got two replays in the Eastern Alliance Era 3 Premium Heavy Tank, the Object 292. Now this is the tank that most people will probably have had by now for completing the season, and it's completely, well, it's not completely free, you've got to have the season pass, but at the end of the day you get the gold back for completing the season pass that you spent on the season pass, so it's ultimately free. As long as you don't keep spending the 2,000, you just keep doing it constantly as the seasons re-roll. And yeah, the Object 292. It's a pretty damn good Era 3 tank. That's because the gun is absolutely fantastic. You've got good mobility. You've got pretty damn good DPM. Obviously, the penetration on this gun is unbelievable. 900 pen. It's the same gun that you get on the Object 477A Malo. And it just does the job pretty damn well. Does it have armor? It has the type of armor where it can bounce shells here and there. It can ricochet shells. But at the end of the day, you should expect to probably get penned. That's just the way it is. I mean, it's not a heavy tank as you'd think about it, right? I mean, at the end of the day, Era 3, there's a lot of medium tanks that have more armor than heavy tanks, and there's a lot of heavy tanks that have better mobility than some of the medium tanks, etc., etc. Era 3 is just MBTs, and yeah, that's just the way it is. Because by this point of, by this point of tank development, there was no heavy tank, medium tank, etc., etc. They're all MBTs. They're all, the universal tank. So I don't know why they persisted with actually sticking with medium tanks, tank destroyers, heavy tanks. I mean, look at the Thumper. The Thumper is not a tank destroyer. The Thumper is a M1 Abrams, an MBT, but with a 140mm gun. I mean, it was the test bed for it. Never pay attention to the tank class in Era 3 whatsoever, because it basically doesn't count for anything. But yeah, the Object 292 is really solid for what it does, because you just drive along, you get yourselves into flanking positions, and you start slapping shots out with this gun. Because this gun, for me, has been pretty damn consistent with the way I've set it up, because I didn't feel it was that consistent when I set it up without the gun handling equipment and stuff like that. But when I did set it up with the gun handling equipment and stuff, the gun was fabulous. And then the DPM with the 7.5 second reload for the alpha that this has, which is 760, is absolutely lovely. And then again, 900 pen means you pretty much pen every single shot that you're going to take, unless you hit the most awkwardest of angles or you face them low. And then you have 180 pen on the HE, and the HE can be useful when you're facing other Malos and stuff like that, because you can just HE them and do some pretty consistent damage with it too. And I think the mobility at 70 kilometers an hour is pretty damn solid. It's just that the armor is a bit easy to pen. And the thing is, you do also, because you are that Eastern Alliance, you are that sort of Soviet designed tank, you do set on fire a wee bit as well at times. And also your ammo rack likes to go, which is what I noticed, is if you get shot through the drive wheel or through the upper plate, your drive wheel does tend to take your ammo rack tends to take the flak as well, which can be a little bit irritating. So what do I run in terms of a crew on the old Object 292? I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Steady Aim, Run and Gun, Snapshot, Clutch Braking, Armor Angling, and Deadeye. Deadeye because we have a big honking gun. And with high damage and, the penetration and stuff like that, there's a high chance that we could do some serious damage to modules when this gun penetrates. So I run Deadeye to make sure that I could probably break people's engines, damage people's engines, set them on fire through their engines, that sort of thing. Or just do ammo racks and stuff like that. All the gun perks to make sure that this gun is as good as it can be, because it is an asset of the tank, and I want to make sure that the gun will be as snappy and as good as a lot of the other guns that are in Era 3. And then clutch braking to make sure, just to make this mobility of this tank feel great, essentially. Give me the ability to swivel on a sixpence so that I can, deal with stuff like the weasels and stuff that run round you, essentially. And armor angling to reduce because I expect to get penned in this tank, so I want to reduce the amount of damage that I'm taking when I do get penned, is pretty much the way of it. And in terms of equipment, I run the advanced loader, the vertical stabilizers, and the gun laying drive. I run the gun laying drive because I want to make the aim time on this tank as good as it can be, because it is 2.6 seconds of aim time base, which is not good, really, relatively for Era 3. 2.6 aim time is not that good at all. A lot of the aim times in Era 3, when you're starting to get on these tanks, are like, 2.3 to 2.2 to even 2 seconds and below for a lot of the guns. So that makes them very, very, very snappy guns. So that's what I'm aiming to do with the 292. I'm making it so that I can at least get my gun on target when I need it. And when it's aimed in, it'll fire. Or not even aimed in, you know, when I just snap onto the target, I can go bang and it hits. And then vertical stabilizers is exactly the same reason. You know, we're reducing the effect of being on the move and turning the turret to make it as good as possible. And advanced loader to make my DPM as good as possible. And as you can see in this first game, we're up to 12,000, make that 13,152 damage with 2.1k assistance, so 15k combined so far, and the game is not going too well. We find ourselves basically on no hit points because that weasel managed to get up behind us and pump a shot into our ass, and it wasn't very nice for us. Set us on fire, and we basically have no hit points left, which means if something like a 477A comes after us, we are dead. And yeah, unfortunately, that was the end of our game, which means that we unfortunately lost that game. But it's still a pretty nice game. Just a shame that we end up in the defeat on that one. And yeah, if you were wondering why it was so quiet in terms of the audio for that first replay, that's because there's some weird audio bug sometimes that happens when I record games, and it just starts going very loud all the time, and it's really, really annoying. So that's why there was no audio in that one. And as you can see with this game, we made a good amount of credits and 15k combined. And as you can hear with this next replay, no audio bug. It's dead frustrating when it does that. Technology, eh? Technology is frustrating. And we're on the second replay. In the second one, we are on Nomini Nom. And Nomini Nom, we are going to go up onto the ridges at like E3 to see if we can get some early shots at anyone that tries to cross, or just, yeah, basically tries to cross the AB line, because some people always try. That means you always get 1 or 2 free shots without taking any in. And it's always great to get the free shots in without taking any damage. You always take advantage of that, because obviously the more you're hurting the enemy team, the more chance that they will lose. So I'm just going to have a look around to see if I can see the enemy team. And what I was kind of expecting is that possibly there's someone's going to charge across the AB line. But also possibly what happens in Era 3 a decent amount as well is that if... it tends to be the case that nobody does go to the AB line. Oh, snap. Okay, yeah, basically what happens is that 1 or 2 people will go to the AB line, which is basically no one. And our whole team will go here. And then you find that their team's just charged down the 9 line and then gone straight for the JK, which means that you can just push aggressively towards their cap and try and get in behind them, which is what we started to do. We just basically had a look. We couldn't see anyone charging, so it was like, okay, we're just going to push aggressively down into the dip. And we're at this position at B1, which is a really, really good position next to this rock, because it can... well, you can use this rock and use the little divots to sort of stay hulled down, limit the amount of angles that people have to shoot you, and then start getting shots into them. We've got a heavy tank that's pushed aggressively up into where the Macarva is, and we get a nice shot straight through the M1A2's lower plate there. Again, this gun is absolutely fabulous. 900 pen is just unbelievable. Same as it is on the Malo, it is unbelievably dirty, because it just melts everything's armour. Absolutely everything. And the only time you, like I say, you bounce with this gun is generally when you hit a stupid angle, and by that stupid angle I mean you hit like a tank that's on a ridge line at a really, really awkward, really awkward angle on their upper plate armour, and it just ricochets. That's generally the time that you bounce. Most of the time, if you have their flat lower plates, flat upper plates, flat turret fronts for a lot of them as well, you just go straight through. And as you can see, we are just charging about, just making sure that we can try and get the shots in if we can. So we slap another shot into the M1A2, and we start getting shot by something from behind, so we're just going to back up behind cover. He has popped smoke, which makes it really, really awkward for us to get a shot in, but he drives out in front of our gun, and we shut him down. We're up to 5.6k damage so far with 2 kills. I'm just looking going, hello, friend, you shot me. What was I talking about bouncing? Thanks, game, for disproving my point. And we hit the M60AX in the side, basically, and it just ricochets, because, yeah, that's what happens with 900 pen. No, I actually think we hit the turret there and hit the upper bit, but hey-ho. So we're going to go after the M60AX that was spotted over here, and then the Thumper, and these heavy tanks get spotted at the back, and it's like, hello, friends. I don't particularly have too many hit points at the minute, which is not good, because I'm probably like a 2-shot which is not helpful when things fire so quick and things can snapshot you so easily in Era 3. So we're going to take it a little bit easy in how we approach this. So instead of charging straight towards where those two guys are at F0, we're going to push this Leopard 2 in a nice position here where we can just poke over with our turret facing that Leopard 2 and slap a shot through his turret front. We're now being mindful of the things on the right, as well as the two heavies on our left. We've got two heavy tanks that are attacking those guys, though, so I think, you know what? Let's try and help our guys in the middle, because they've put themselves in a really awkward position, and, well, these guys at GH4 are basically distracted, which means I can get some free shots here. So we're just going to start slapping some shots into this Macarva Mark 1. And he fired an ATGM there, and he actually does pen us, but not for like the full amount. He only penned us for about 400, which is still hit points I needed. But these guys are still distracted. My two heavy tanks behind me have basically dealt with the guys that were behind us, so we don't have to worry too much about a threat from behind. So we just need to keep pummeling the shots into this enemy team so that, well, so that we don't lose the fight in this middle. Because at the minute, it's still like 2-on-3, right? So we just need to keep going. It's all about keeping your shots consistent, keeping your gun in the game, keeping the damage flowing. Because for every second, especially in Era 3, for every second that you're not firing at a target is every moment that your team is just dying, is the way it always feels like in Era 3. So this T-70B used to track sideways on. We did end up tracking him and setting him on fire. We get lucky there that object 477A Malo ends up missing his shot, because he could have quite easily killed us. But we start to charge in a little bit, because I thought, oh, you know what, let's go try and get under their gun line. But that was a stupid idea. I should have just stayed where I was. The M1A2 charges down the hill, so we get a nice shot into his side, and I'm just gun depression problems as well. We're just hoping that we can get a shot in to finish him off, but he doesn't quite give us that shot. Now there's only two tanks left. It's a heavy tank that's getting swarmed and this Malo. So we're going to, again, close the distance as much as we can and hopefully get there to get at least one more shot into that Malo. And yeah, the only real problem for me with the Object 292 is the fact that you have 5 degrees of gun depression, because that does limit you in a lot of situations. Well, you don't even have 5 degrees, you have 4.5 degrees, which is really not very good. And that limits you in a lot of situations that a lot of tanks can actually thrive against you, especially for the fact you don't really have much armor. But you can make it work, and if you keep yourself in positions and use ridge lines wisely, you can do some serious damage. So as you can see, we managed to get 2 final shells into that Object 477A, and we shut him down. We finished with the victory, 3 kills, 13,303 damage, 1,700 assistance, the ace tank at the high caliber, 1,718 base XP, a really nice game for the Object 292 in Era 3. A tank that most of you will be able to, well, most of you probably will have earned by now and already played. It's, like I said, it's a pretty damn decent tank. You've just got to get over that 4.5 degrees of gun depression, because that can limit you in a lot of situations. And there are so many times that tanks with 10 degrees of gun depression, 9 or 8, will start farming you. And it's about the situations you put yourself in. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!